boys and girls, this is Mrs. Fisher. Today, we're going to be doing a light experiment, and we're going to be looking at the question, what surfaces reflect light best? And that's the question that we're going to be trying to answer in today's experiment. What you're going to need for this experiment are a flashlight and some various objects, and we'll talk about what those objects can be in just a minute. So if you look at the explored section, it says light travels in a straight line. If something gets in its way, the light will be absorbed, reflected, or refracted. And we've been learning about that this past couple weeks in our lessons. In this activity, you will determine whether certain objects reflect light. Recording accurate observations reflects well on you, by the way. Okay, so here is what you need to do before you begin. Let's look at these steps here. First, you have to look for some objects. Now, this says provided by your teacher. Obviously, we cannot provide you some objects. So, you are going to need to look around your house for some objects. If you look in this picture, it gives you lots of different examples of objects that you could find. You could get a paper plate, you could get some fabric, you could get some paper. If you have a mirror, you could get a mirror. I have a clear plastic lid here from a container that I'm gonna try to use. I have a pan. Any objects that you think you could use around your house. Doesn't matter what they are. So go ahead, pause the video, gather your objects, and then come back. Okay, once you have your objects, you are going to examine the surface of each one. Look at what the surface looks like. Is it shiny? Is it dull? Is it rough? Is it smooth? And then you're going to think about a hypothesis. Which kind of surface will reflect light best? Okay, just think about your hypothesis. We'll write about it on the next page, but just think about it. Which kinds of objects do you think are going to reflect light the best? And we know from our reading before that reflecting light means that the light will bounce off of it back to you. So, based on your hypothesis, based on your thinking, you are going to choose two objects that you predict will reflect light well, and two objects that you predict will reflect light poorly. Okay? Then, don't do that now, but then after you pick your objects, you're gonna turn off the lights. We're going to shine the flashlight on one object at a time, and we're going to make some observations on whether each object reflects light onto the wall. And then we're going to record our observations, and we'll talk about that on the next page. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing today in the experiment. So turn with me now to the next page, and let's look at setting a purpose for our experiment. So the question says, what will you learn in this investigation? Well, looking at the question that we're trying to answer, what surfaces reflect light best? That's what we're trying to learn. In this investigation, we will learn what surfaces reflect light best. So go ahead and take a second and fill that in. And then now you're going to write your hypothesis, okay? And you're going to think about an if-then statement. So, if an object has a fill-in-the-blank surface, what kind of surface? It will or it will not reflect light. Okay, so you're going to fill in the blank. What types of surfaces do you think are going to reflect the light? And you're going to tell me what kind of surfaces. Will they reflect the light or will they not reflect the light? Okay. Then we're going to think about our procedure. What is the tested variable? Remember, the variable is the things that we are changing. So what is changing in our 4 objects that we're testing? Well, we talked about the surfaces of the objects, right? If they're dull or shiny or smooth or rough. So let's write that in a complete sentence. The tested variable is the surface. And then I want you to think about this question. Why should you use the same light source with each object? Why should you use the same flashlight every time for all 4 objects? Okay? And then here's how you're going to set up your data chart, okay? You're going to label each box, object 1, object 2, object 3, object 4, and then write the name of the object in each one of these, what you're testing. And then once you test them, I want you to write a sentence about what happened. Was the light reflected? Was the light not reflected? What happened when you shined the flashlight on the objects? And then, after you're done, draw a conclusion about what types of objects reflect light the best. Did the shiny objects reflect light the best? Did the dull objects reflect light the best? Did the clear objects reflect light the best? What did you observe in your experiments? Okay. Go ahead and complete your experiment and make sure you take a picture of all your data and your conclusion when you're done and upload it to show us that you did your experiment. Have fun.